And I love Chuck, but Ernie's right. It's not the podcast. And maybe in the first couple times you spontaneously dropped an F-bomb at noon on cable TV, it was shocking. But now it just feels lowbrow. The first time I heard Nick Saban punctuate a funny story by saying, and that was full of S, I was like, oh, he cursed. And now I'm like, oh, I think they're reminding him to do it. And ultimately, I understand all these shows are consumed in multiple platforms. But those of us lucky enough to be on TV, it's in our interest that people still think there's a difference between being on TV and doing your favorite podcast, your favorite YouTube show. Again, I do a podcast, I do a YouTube show, curse like a sailor on it, walk around the office curse. Once I put this tie on and suit, I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to be Cronkite necessarily, but I'd like to add some professionalism to it. And I don't know when the dam broke to where it's just like, we're not technically regulated by the FCC, so we can do whatever we want, but I don't like it. And I know I'm 40 now and it's old man takes, but it's in all of our best interests that the audience knows there's a difference between regular television shows and things that can be produced anywhere. And the fact that we don't drop F-bombs is part of it. Wow. So everybody, clean it up. You don't have to do Bruce thing and never say a dirty word in your life, but
I was going to say that. This is very Christian of you, Nick. I love it.
I knew you would.
Can I add some gravity to this, too?
Yeah.
It's not super fun, but I'm going to add something to it. There's a point, and because LeBron did this, too. It went on my radar when I saw LeBron do this. And LeBron's like, oh, we sure are shooting a lot of blank threes. Yeah. And I had the same reaction of you of like, man, everyone's swearing now. And it bothered me, and I couldn't figure out why. It's like, it's just because I'm old or I'm like a prude. It's because the words are losing power. And you have to save your curse words for when they matter. Again, this is like a little too serious for the Bud list when I just read a fake comment. That comment was real. So after the Boston Marathon bombing, the first Red Sox game back, David Ortiz came back, and he got the microphone. He's on the pitcher's mound, and he announces, "This is our blanket city," and the place erupted because the moment demanded the most extreme, powerful bomb, so to speak, that you could drop, and it worked. But to just do it, everyone like, yeah, man, we beat the Hornets. What a blank game. That doesn't mean that you've lost it. And if you start using it all the time, then when it's reserved for a moment that really matters, when you want to unify a city, a fan base, the country, whatever it may be, you lose it.
The boy who cried cursing wolf.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That drives me nuts.
Both of you make great points. And if it continues, Nick, then it's going to start becoming commonplace.
Of course.
That's what's going to happen, and it will.
And again, I feel silly. I know that's not a cool take.
No, it's a good take.
But it is truly how I feel, and so.
It's a good take.
Okay. I actually wanted to do this because this is actually kind of fun. This is when sports and just conversations and opinions, we can kind of share opinions and share takes beyond just, who's going to win the NFC Championship game. So I actually really appreciate this, and so I want to do this, even though I'm pretty confident that this will be not a very highly watched video. So I figured whatever, I'll still make it. It can still be fun. We're running low on ideas anyway because there's only 14 teams left in the NFL right now. But I really wholeheartedly agree with everything they're saying. But I even actually take it another level because I curse like crazy, actually. I curse to myself in my mind. I curse out loud to everyone, my friends, family, all that type of stuff. And, but not on here. And it's for multiple reasons because, Nick's talking about on his podcast, he curses or whatever. And I've never really listened to Nick's personal podcast, but I've seen him on other podcasts. And I see him, especially on Colin Cowherd. And, they curse. And it's jarring. When you hear Colin Cowherd curse, I'm like, what? Like, that's again, it's like, that, Colin, I can't believe you just said that. Like, it's just like, what? It throws me off guard. And the reality is like, what Wilds is saying with cursing and bringing, like, the intensity to the moment, like, it's not just intensity, because we get in intense debates about Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Like, we bring intensity to that. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter. Right? Like, it honestly actually doesn't matter. And that's the best part about sports, is that it really is all fun. Whether we actually really figure out who's a better quarterback, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, like, it doesn't actually matter. Okay, we're out here having debates about players and teams that we have no actual like connection to, that's like real, in the sense of like we get paid, or like, you know, I actually work for the Detroit Lions. Like it doesn't actually matter. That's why when other people will come to me, I always laugh when they're like, oh, how badly do you want this team not to win? And I'm like, it doesn't actually matter to me. Like, it doesn't, how sad were you when this happened? Like, not at all, because it doesn't actually matter. Or someone said, oh, Patrick Mahomes lives rent free in your head, and I'm like, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live. Of course what am I going to make him pay rent? Like, of course he's rent free in my head. Like, of course, like, what are you talking about, you know? And they're like, oh, you love Josh Allen so much. And it's like, he's awesome to watch playing football. Yeah, I'm really grateful that we have athletes like this that we get to watch. So it will always make me laugh. And in terms of cursing, though, it's like, I know for me, sports, it really is the ultimate escape. And I've talked about this, you know, at length before in many videos over the previous months, of just like, you know, for me, watching these shows, you know, it all depends on different times in my life. Sometimes it's really casual and passive, and other times I'm really holding on to them. It's like I'm going through like a tough time with family, friends, relationships, drama, life, work, money, and it's just like, I need it. I need to just be surrounded by these guys. I just need to hear their voices. That's why Colin Cowherd's show, 3 hours long. There are times, especially, you know, a couple of years ago when I was going through some really hard times and I was injured. I got back-to-back injuries, my knee and then my clavicle, and I was laid out in the bed, just depressed, angry, hated the world, again, going through breakups, stuff like that. And it was like, I just need football. I need a 3-hour football game. I need Joe Buck and Troy Aikman to kind of just go back and forth and have their banter. Like, I need Colin, you know, every single day, 3 hours just going on. There was times that, like, I was, you know, rehabbing my knee and stuff. Like, I'm just laying in bed, going in and out of sleep. And it's like, I turn on Colin's show and I kind of go in and out, fall asleep, and I wake up and like, I still have a whole nother hour of him talking. And it's like, okay, good. And, you know, I just don't want silence here. And so I really rely on that. And I think sometimes when you do start cursing and you bring that mentality, it kind of pulls you out of that. Even when we're having intense debates about Josh Allen, Mahomes, LeBron James, like, you're still kind of in this meditative or prayer bubble, however you define it yourself. Like, you're still kind of in this bubble. And for whatever reason, cursing does pop it. It feels more real than it needs to be. And like it is like it's a weird thing, and everyone has a different relationship with cursing, honestly. There's some people that like don't want to hear it at all. And I actually also studied comedy. I used to perform sketch and improv in Los Angeles, you know, in Hollywood. And I had a teacher who was like, you know, because I curse a lot, and so I would curse and I would just casually curse, and she was like, you need to earn the curse. I'm like, huh? Like, I don't want to do that. And it is true though, because you have other comedians talk about how, you know, especially stand-up comedians, they'll have a punchline, and it'll get a bigger laugh if they curse and then say the punchline versus not. And so like it has this like weird power over you. And sometimes it doesn't matter at all. Sometimes it's just a placeholder for something. Sometimes it's just like part of casual conversation. It doesn't matter whether you curse or you didn't. It doesn't change the conversation. But for me, I do like to keep this sports, you know, I like to keep this channel, these videos, this content, these discussions, so I don't curse in the comments. I don't curse when I make videos. I don't like to even hear cursing. Again, and I curse all the time. And when I watch a movie or a show or anything and they're cursing, like, I don't care at all, one bit. But when I'm in this sports bubble, like, I don't want to hear the cursing, and it will be jarring. And it is kind of like, oh, I don't want to hear that, right? Or like, that's actually not why I'm watching this or being part of this. And it's interesting. Like, I still kind of reflect on, which is why I wanted to make this video, because I just wanted to continue to think out loud and then hear other people's perspective with regards to it. I also know, again, some people don't like to hear cursing at all, and I want to be able to still make content that they want to hear as well, and not kind of push them back or push them in a corner. It's why I try my best to say things like, if I say like, oh my gosh, or oh my goodness, which I don't like to say oh my goodness, because that just doesn't feel like that's something that I would say. Even gosh doesn't, honestly, you know, because then it is always funny when you hear people say things like that, like, Nick Wright will say like, dog garnet got it, or I don't even know the saying, whatever he says, or you always have coaches when they try to, like, if they're giving an interview in public and they're trying to censor them stuff, they'll be like, we just need to kick their butt, and it's like, oh really, is that really what you said to the men in the locker room, to the 25 and 26-year-olds who are cursing? You said, by golly, we just gotta dig deep and do our best. And it's like, I'm sure that's exactly what you told them. I'm sure of it. But it's it's interesting. But if I'm watching something like Hard Knocks and stuff like that, like I want to hear them curse, because then I am part of that intensity bubble as well. Like it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. But yeah, like I said, I'm making this more just to kind of think out loud, kind of just be entertained by their conversations, and then also hoping to kind of hear what your insights are in terms of this whole, cleaning it up, and whether or not you think is it an age thing or not. I personally don't think it is, because I felt this way kind of for much of my life. I don't think it's necessarily an age thing. I think it's more of like, I don't know, because it's like, I still find it interesting that, again, like someone like Nick and Colin will be on a podcast together, and they will be cursing. Like, I find that tricky to do. If I was on TV and I had a popular podcast of some sort, I would have to kind of be the same all the time, because that line would blur for me. It would change for me. But it is funny, because I'll record something here, and then immediately as soon as I hit the stop recording button, I'll curse. Right, I'll curse, like, like, not all the time, obviously. It has to be, it'll be like maybe my dog's barking or something, or like I'm in a rush and I'm like, oh, I gotta run, and I'll say like, oh, blank, I gotta go, and then I'll like run away, right? Like, so I'll immediately switch into it. But I feel as though if I was on TV and podcast, I feel like that line would be blurred. So if I'm like making YouTube videos and I'm cursing like crazy, and then I go into like FS1, and now I gotta like go do my 3-hour show or whatever, I feel like I would have to keep it the same. Like it would just be kind of how my mind works in general. It's like, anytime I'm in front of a camera, I don't curse. When I'm off the camera, okay, great, I can curse and do whatever I want. But yeah, I don't know, pretty funny stuff. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about this conversation about cursing? Do you think people need to clean it up? Do you think it's okay? Do you think it doesn't matter at all? Whatever, get over it. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, some clean fights. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.